Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is Two Up and Two Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
Great episode coming up here. We have the Implant. And to start things off, Chris, what do you have for your first up?
Season 4, Peter Melman, 27 million people watched. What can you say about the Implant? Plenty of ups. I don't think we're going to have any issues here. One of my personal favorites, George at the funeral, wake, whatever, talking about I am the boyfriend, and then talking to the priest about the death certificate, and just George is just munching away on food, and then I love that priest. You seem to be of great comfort to Betsy. Like I love that guy's voice. That scene of George getting introduced as the boyfriend, and him just like so proud, I am the boyfriend. Love it. And again, it's just one little scene within a plethora of ups in this show. So, but that's my first one up.
All right, very good. And Tony, what's your first up here?
Yeah, comfort schmumford, George says. I wrote that down too. I am the boyfriend. Great, George. I'm going with another George scene. Obviously, there's a theme here, I think, with this episode. George on the couch with the girlfriend, trying to switch to the side so he can make his move. I'll shout, and then he climbs over her, and then the phone call. Great George in the background, the plane ride and the whole making the faces in the background. There's the whole world. There may be two emergencies. Why would yours be? Then of course it is an emergency. And I'd love that George, just him sitting in the background, just like, what am I? I'm trying to get with this girl, and now this phone call happens. He's making all those faces in the background, and he's doing all those looks he does, and just a great Costanza, another great Costanza scene to piggyback off O'Hara there. So that's my first up.
All right, giving it to George. Back-to-back ups for George. And Chris, what's your second up?
Yeah, I remember Tony asking Peter Melman himself about those scenes and all that stuff. So incredible. I'm going to go with, because there's plenty to pick from here, some of the sauna scenes. As a theme, whether it was Sal Bass, spent a little time in the Mideast, to I love Elaine, kind of the monologue. Oh, doctor. I mean, the sauna scenes were great. There were, I believe, 3 of them with Sal Bass, obviously, Sidra and Elaine, and then obviously George being the consolation guy. Great conversation. And obviously inner monologue with Elaine. So for me, the sauna scenes at the gym, classic.
Yeah, great scenes there with Tony Amendola as Sal Bass, a friend of the show here. So over to you, Tony. What do you have for your second up?
All right, my second up for the Implant. We've already touched on 2 Georges. We obviously have to touch on the third George and probably the most talked about and one of the greatest scenes in Seinfeld history. We all love Melman. We know that he likes those kind of catchphrases. None bigger than double dip, I don't think. Timmy, you dip to it. You want to dip. I'll dip the way I want to dip. Timmy, put the whole face in. He does a great job there as well. George eating is always one of the best scenes you're ever going to see in your life. O'Hara touched on it earlier, talking to the priest. But I think even George eating here, where he's just really needling Timmy with the double dip in the chip. That's my second up.
Great mention there, double dip, classic scene. We could go on and on with ups here, but part of the show is downs. So what'd you come up with your first down, Chris?
Always hard to find downs, especially season 4 when it's some of your favorite episodes. But a common theme, I like to nitpick Jerry sometimes. I'm being a little too. It's a couple things bother me. What does he care? What does he care that Sidra's boobs are fake? I mean, he got a decent line that Mickey Mantle corked his bad thing. I get it, but have you seen Terry Hatcher? Is he out of his mind? for me, I mean, you got to be kidding me. It's always bothered me. It will bother me to this day when I watch it. I can't believe she gave him a second chance, for crying out loud. And she seemed so upset at the apartment, right? But still got right back in there. So for me, Jerry, come on, down.
Yeah, good point there. Great down. So, Tony, we'll go over to you. What do you got for your first down?
Yeah, my first down is kind of piggybacking off O'Hara's earlier up. The sauna scenes. I did love them all except for one. I didn't like the Terry Hatcher talking to Elaine about how Jerry's going back to his ex-girlfriend. She's mentally ill. He would make a great Nazi. He's very neat. Everything is just so, I don't know. It's just one of those, like, they always play that Jerry's Nazi thing with thin and neat, and they were trying to jam it into stuff. I just didn't love it. It didn't play well with me. I don't know why Jerry would use that as an excuse to kind of break up with her anyway. A million things he could have choose. Like, does he think she's going to mention it to Elaine to get a rib on her, the mentally ill part? I don't know. It's I'll play off the old piano player with mental defective, put the Pez dispenser on my leg. Maybe that always gives me thoughts on that, but I just don't love that scene. I thought every other sauna scene was great. Put him on a dental chair, and it's like a sauna in here. Obviously, we all use that one, but I didn't like the that one scene, is particularly the Terry Hatcher talking to Elaine. So that's my first down.
All right, yeah, got that one here. So, Chris, over to you. What's your second down?
Yeah, it's funny. I loved all the sauna scenes, but that, and I actually did not like the dental chair line. I thought that was kind of pretty stupid. But so, second down, yeah. I mean, it's scenes I love, but it's more just like, what are these guys doing? Has he learned his lesson with Kramer at the airport? This is piggybacking off the airport episode, obviously, where, he ends up on a plane, go wherever. Same deal here. He gets ripped off by getting suckered in by Kramer again with the double miles and the death certificate. I would have thought, listen, we know George isn't the brightest bulb in the batch. Thought he would have learned his lesson here. So, a little disappointed George again gets suckered into Kramer's stupidity again, ends up losing money. I can turn that down into an up. It turns out the ending is one of my favorites of all time, with George showing the Polaroid of him next to the caskets. Nice try, not even close. Yeah, the whole thing. But for me, George getting, hoodwinked again with Kramer, second down.
All right, very good. So, Tony, back to you. Your second down. What do you have?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of downs written down, and this down isn't. I'm not a strong one, to be honest with you. It's kind of a nitpick one. It's kind of K-Man stuff altogether. I think the Salmon Rusty stuff, it's really all they give him on this one. And God bless Kramer, Michael Richards, he does a lot with it, obviously. Bass, salmon, you don't just see Jerry and talking to him in the side like O'Hara mentioned. But there's just not enough there for Kramer, maybe. He does do great with what he has. Borrowing Jerry's bathing suit, I mean, who would ever borrow someone's bathing suit? I mean, I'm with Jerry on this one. I don't want your boys down there. I mean, great line by Jerry, but I mean, what's Kramer thinking? I just don't get that one at all. I know they had to have a reason for him to kind of, break the whole news that Jerry and Elaine were dating, but anything else would have done there. Kramer's going to Puerto Rico, or what are we doing? And borrowing Jerry's bathing suit? I don't know, just an odd little scene that kind of hammered in there just to get the breakup to happen. So that's my down.
Yeah, I agree with that one. So, yeah, great down there. So we're going to give the Implant a grade. And, Chris, back to you. What do you have for your grade?
Yeah, the Kramer Puerto Rico. Like, I never thought much of it until, I guess, when I rewatched it, he missed California and the heat. So that was kind of the theme there. Stay on the East Coast, what have you. The Implant. I mean, so many ups, and I loved kind of the bring back of what you just mentioned there, kind of the play on the emergency, right? It can't be an emergency, right? With George, and then they have it again. Kramer knocking on the door. Thought that was a nice job by Melman. Elaine was really strong in this episode. Jerry really strong. George, I mean, this is iconic George, and iconic George in season 4, as we know, lifts episodes. and not a lot of downs. So this is one of those, again, season 4. Again, we knew it was the arc season, but this is one of those just hidden gems they just put out there. I mean, we didn't even mention. I mean, Terry Hatcher, what a casting job, just perfect. Sal Bass, even the dialogue between. I love that dialogue, Jerry and Kramer at the gym. Well, if that's salmon, that's citrus. That's it. That whole back and forth. It's a wonderful episode. The Implant is a clean A. It's not all time great, but boy, is it a great episode. A for The Implant.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's solid A in my book too. So, Tony, let's hear your grade. What do you got?
Yeah, great. Also, that scene. Why would I like legs? I have legs, Jerry. To Elaine talking about breast, man. I know I like breast. That's great too. Yeah, I hate to do it, but again, I'm going to agree. I mean, the Implant today. There's no way around it. I thought about an A+. I just don't think there's enough there, Kramer wise, really, and really Elaine wise, to be honest with you. There's a lot there, and there are no downs, as Chris mentioned. I mean, I wrote down 2, and they're barely downs. I can watch this episode front to back 100 times over. They're real and spectacular. I'll laugh every time, even though I've heard it 100 times. It's Melman. It's season 4. It's everything we love about George. It's great Seinfeld. It's great Jerry. Trying to figure out the woman situation. Has Elaine helping him? You got Kramer doing his thing, always looking for some sort of conspiracy theory or something going on. It's got to be Salman Rushdie. Put it all together. One of the best you're going to see. Any way you slice it. Implant is an A.
There you have it, folks. I don't think anybody out there could disagree too much with that. So I thank you guys for your grades and your ups and downs, and we'll see you guys at the next one.